Hi everyone. In today's session, we'll be learning the GST liability, the eligibility to avail the credit, and its consequent effect. As we understand the GST law or the any law for the time being, first we have to analyze, are we going to pay tax on the output level or are we going to pay tax at input level? And what are all the conditions to be looked at to determine the either the liability to pay tax or the eligibility to avail credit. As we look at the output tax, first we have to see whether our subject matter, which is called as the supply under the GST law, whether my supply is taxable or whether my supply is exempt. If it is exempt, whether it is exempt without any conditions or it is exempt with any conditions. Once we determine it is taxable or it is exempt, then we have to appropriately classify. Rather, we can say that the classification comes first. Either the taxable or exempt is purely based upon what is the nature of service or the nature of goods which is being supplied under the GST. Once you define the classification as well as determine the taxability, next we have to go to the tax rate. Am I supposed to pay at the 5%, 12%, 18% or 28%? If I am liable to pay at 5%, is there any condition attached to it? Am I eligible to avail the credit? If I pay at 12%, am I eligible to avail the credit or am I not eligible to avail the credit? So on and so forth. Once we fulfill all the requirements and we comply with the specific notification, then we have to determine what is the final output tax liability by applying the above said principles. Any law is very simple, no exception to GST. Either you pay tax at output level or reverse the respective ITC. Why I say that point? Once you say a particular item is taxable, you pay tax on output level. Once you say a particular supply is exempt, either with or without any conditions, then immediately we have to see, am I eligible to avail the credit? If you are not eligible to avail the credit, it can happen in two ways. One, at the time of receipt of an inward supply. So what is called as inward supply? Your purchases, your expenses. As you receive an inward supply, you will avail the credit unless otherwise it is specifically prohibited. Then we have to see, is it the directly attributable item to my taxable supply? Is it directly attributable to my exempt supply or indirectly attributed? If it is directly attributed to the exempt supply, the credit cannot be availed. If it is indirectly attributable to the exempt supply, then in specified the ratios as mentioned in the specific rules we may have to follow. In essence, you pay tax at output level or indirectly will end up in reversing the ITC. Now when we go to the eligibility criteria of ITC, the first and foremost condition is, are you procuring the items for the purpose of business? Any procurement for the purpose of business, it can be a goods or services, is eligible for credit unless otherwise it is specifically restricted. No restricted credit be availed under any situations. Only eligible credits are allowed to be availed. Once it is restricted, then at the time of accounting, the said respective inward supply itself credit cannot be availed. Whether you avail the credit or not avail the credit, the other key point which to be noted is the time limit within which I am supposed to avail the credit. In case of ineligible credit, it does not matter. At the time of accounting a credit itself, you have to reverse it or you will directly take it to the ineligible category. The next comes, what are the documents and records I should keep to evidence that I have received the goods or services for the purpose of my business. Documents and record plays a vital role in order to establish the fact that these items are procured for the purpose of furtherance of business and it evidences that the said goods or the services has been received. So I highlighted 2 points. One, there should be a receipt. Second, that should be used for furtherance of business unless otherwise it is restricted. There might be some situation which a taxpayer is supposed to fulfill the conditions. Either it look at the output level or input level. Any taxpayer is supposed to understand, is there any conditions attached? If a condition is attached, only upon fulfillment of a particular condition, either the tax rate, classification or the eligibility to avail credit is being determined. Now, what is the effect of it? Tax. The government collects the tax. That means the taxpayer contributes to the economy. So the effect of tax is you contribute. If you don't pay on time, the government needs a compensation. Then you have to pay. That is, the taxpayer is liable to pay interest. If you are not complying with any provisions of the law or you are violating, then the tax authorities demand you the penalty. But if you deliberately do a fraud violating the provisions of the act, the government can prosecute the said taxpayer. So in simple terms, you have tax, interest, penalty, prosecution. Each have its own significance. Tax, the taxpayer contributes. Interest, the taxpayer compensates the government for the belated payment. Penalty for the violation. Prosecution, if you deliberately do a fraud or defraud the taxpayers by violating the provisions of the law. So to summarize, determine your output tax liability. Check whether it is taxable or exempt. If it is taxable, what is the tax rate? If it is exempt, am I supposed to fulfill any conditions? If the said supply qualifies as an exempt supply, whether am I supposed to reverse the ITC? Next comes the ITC part, whether all the inward supplies has been properly documented, received, used for the purpose of business and it is not specifically prohibited. Last, what is the tax effect of it? By looking at holistically, these are the key basics which a taxpayer should keep in mind while complying any law as the case may be. So watch this space more for the further videos on the taxation. Thank you.